right, we have a new avatar. Oh, who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Oh, hoo. How are the little holiday girls today? Hello. Hello. How's little Milo today? Oh, tell me you bought a new microphone.
But if I said no.
Then I'm going to cry again tonight. I won't be able to sleep. I'm going to cry all night long. Poor Trevor has to suffer some more. Unbelievable. I quit. I quit. I quit. I quit. I quit. That's it. I'm not teaching. What Zorro is back? You like Zorro. How come I can't do Zorro? Where's my Zorro? Where's my Zorro face? I wear my sunglasses at night. What the? That's a small hat for a big head. Oh, I like that. That should be a picture. It's the rainbow girl. Oh, here we go. There. Where's my sword? Oh, took de France, oui. Go to the Paris. Oh, yeah. Amen. The artiste. Who did that? Who did it? Dead. Interesting. Wah! That's a good look for me. I look like a fly. Ay, caramba. Very bad. Very bad. What the heck is this? Chains on my head? Okay. I'm going back to Paris. I'm gonna go swimming. All right. Enough of this.
I'm going now.
I like the shades. These are cool. Those round ones. The Lenin glasses or something. Okay. Yeah. So, how was Tet? Are you rich?
No, not.
You didn't
My mom took all the money.
Your mom. Well, what's the point of getting lucky money if your mom's gonna take all your money?
We can't use that.
Unbelievable. I would say I don't want the money. Don't bother giving it to me. I'm just gonna give it to mom anyway. Unbelievable. Well, maybe they'll use it to pay for your English classes. Yeah. So did you get millions and millions of dollars? $10 million? 100 million?
Don't remember.
Not about. It's under 5 million.
Under 5 million? Oh, you have to protest. Next time I want 1 million each. From each person. No 500,000s, no 100,000s, 1 million only. Or you tell them to go away. Maybe they don't come back. Maybe.
Most of them give me 20,000 only.
20,000? Oh my God, I would protest big time. Sheesh. Should be like 2 500s in every envelope. Minimum. Some should be 2, 3, 4, 5 million. Just one envelope. That would be good. Yeah. But not really, because mom's going to take it all anyway. Sheesh. That's okay. They're going to buy Milo a new microphone with that money.
I don't think so.
I don't.
That away stole my headphone.
Someone stole your headphones.
My dad.
Your dad took your headphones?
Yeah.
Oh my God, for what? Is he taking an online?
He just like to listen to music.
Oh, he does it to listen to music. All right. Okay, but everybody had a good TED holiday. Did you guys go visit people, or did you just stay home?
I go visit people.
I go visit people.
Both of you went do some visiting. Okay, good. So you had fun. Do you both go back to school on Monday?
Yeah.
Monday, okay. All right. Well, we'll start tonight. We have an interesting topic today. Do you know what the topic is? No, nobody knows. Woohoo! Trevor's getting better at his intros and his thumbnails. Ecosystems. There's going to be some tough vocabulary in here today for you guys. I love it. I love it. So what the heck is an ecosystem? Can anybody tell me what an ecosystem is?
My camera is like yours in the last lesson.
Oh, was it dancing and doing the Maximilian thing?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that. It happened to Lei too, and it happened to Chi, one of the students, last night. I think it's the system. There's something going on. I don't think it's our cameras or our computers.
Yeah.
It's something to do with Zoom, because it's happening to a lot of people. So again, ecosystems, right? Well, what does eco come from?
From the nature?
Yeah, right. The ecosystem, the nature that we live in. Systems is the organization of things, right? And the whole world has its own systems, how the water flows and life grows in water, and how the forests work and the deserts work and the fields work and the mountains. Yeah, we have an incredible marvel of a planet, and it really is alive all on its own. And we are just so lucky to be on this planet. God knows where we would be if we weren't here. But it's a very amazing place, and it starts right down at the very, very little microbe, the little atoms and everything, and that's where all the life starts. It's absolutely incredible. Did you know that everything in the world is made of atoms? Like the table, even the cup, our bodies, the trees, the plants, every animal. And that even the cup, the atoms inside it are moving. They're moving billions of the little atoms inside this cup and this table and this pen and this phone. Even though it's solid, like a rock, but it's actually moving. Everything in it is moving. There's little vibrations in everything. And that's why when you take glass or a cup and you heat it, it expands, yeah? Because the molecules expand when you use heat and hot and cold. And we have our own energy. Maybe you could call it your soul if you want, your spirit. But energy, you cannot destroy energy. You know, when a star, a sun blows up, the energy moves into different little planets, and then they turn into new stars and new planets. The energy, whatever it is in, can be destroyed. Our body will die, and it'll return to the earth. We'll turn to dust and dirt and soil, and we'll blend in with the earth, because that's where we come from. But the energy inside us moves on. You can't destroy energy. It just moves from one place to another. So that means part of us, hopefully our conscious mind, is going to go somewhere when we die. So that's why I think there has to be some kind of a higher power, and important to be a good person and help the world be a better place the best we can. Take care of ourselves, and then our families and our loved ones, and then our community, and so on. You know, you don't try to change the world. You try to change yourself first. That's priority number one, because you can't fix any problem in the world if you don't fix your own problems first. But that energy that we have inside us, what makes us all unique, what makes us all special, that part never dies. So I'm I look at the next world positively, that it's going to be a really cool place. Maybe it'll still be here. Maybe it'll be somewhere else. I don't know where. Nobody knows. But we're all going to find out. Energy. You cannot destroy energy. It just transfers. So that's like what we're going to talk about. All these different ecosystems today in our lesson. And that's the last lesson. That means we have our test next week. Woohoo! I'm not sure which one we'll do, but I'll let you know, of course, and send you the templates for the test, what we'll be covering, so you can brush up, prepare. But I added a lot of vocabulary today. I added how much? 14 words. So only 6 words are from the book. So I tried to add as much as I could about ecosystems. So I got another 6 or 7 words here. And then I have 7 words that are not really related to ecosystems, but they're very good words to build up and use to put in your arsenal of vocabulary. So it's going to be an interesting vocabulary list we have today. And the reading is pretty cool. We're going to talk about some of how things work in our ecosystems and how life is created. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Then let's jump into it. So, very important part of the ecosystem is what? From plants and flowers to insects to rodents and rabbits to bears and sharks and owls. What do you call this cycle? A series of living things that are connected because each group of things eats a group below it. All right, humans are at the top of the what?
Food chain.
Again?
Food chain.
Food chain. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the food chain. There are many, many different kinds of food chains. A lot of the food chains depend on the ecosystems that they are in. All right, the food chain in the oceans are different than the food chains in the forests. But they're all connected. Right? They're all connected. Plankton, I think, is the beginning. Certain microbes and plankton in the sea, which is funny. The biggest animals in the sea, though, the blue whales and all these guys, that's what they eat. They open up. They don't even have teeth. They eat krill from the ocean instead of other fish. But is it the humpback whale? They come up with their big mouth and they catch a lot of fish, like hundreds of fish at one time. They're the best fishermen in the world. You just hope you don't get stuck in the fish with that. But yeah, and the human food chain is it's connected too, right? Because we're not going to have insects if we don't have plants and bugs and all these other things for them to eat. And then we're not going to have rabbits and beavers and all these other small animals if they don't have insects to eat. And we're not going to have our hawks and our eagles and our foxes and our coyotes and all these other animals if we don't have them. And then some of them eat plants, right? Like deer, for example, is a big animal. But they don't eat other animals. They just eat leaves and berries and grass and different things on the ground. So it's really, and in the book there's quite a web of connections of what eats what and who eats who and who is eaten by who. A lot of people argue about, about we shouldn't eat meat, but in the animal kingdom, of course they eat meat. It's rough, but it's the food chain. But it's different for everybody. Food chain. The people who live in cities.
Inhabitants?
Well, inhabitants could be anywhere. Could be living in a cave. But what's different from a caveman and a city man?
Area.
Area, no. It's what we call people who live in cities or towns. You wouldn't say it in the countryside or in a small village. There would be a different type of living. We've had this before, I'm sure. No, it starts with a U.
Urban.
Urban. Milo again, yeah. Urban dwellers. Dwellers are the people who live there. Where's my pen? Oh, there it is. Urban dwellers. Urban people. People who live in the cities. What do you call people that live in the countryside? All right, so kind of the opposite of urban people. These are people. But you and I are all urban people because we live in cities, big or small, but still we live in cities. I've been living in cities now for way too long. I want to live like this. I want to live out in the countryside. I really do. I want to be more in touch with nature. Rural, yeah. Rural dwellers. Yeah, out in these country roads like this. And that's how I grew up. Actually, where I grew up, it was all surrounded by forest, of course, and it's just one long road for many, many kilometers, and you just have houses like this, no big buildings, no nothing like that. But we had the pieces of land were much bigger. Here, they're much smaller. But that's how I grew up. My first years growing up until I was a teenager, and then I moved with my father to the city. But as a kid, I grew up in an area similar to this. And we used to ride a lot of motocross and play in the forest a lot and build tree houses and play a lot of hockey and do a lot of swimming in the summer. So that's my roots. And I plan on, as soon as the YouTube channel gets a little bigger and we could build up Newway a little bit bigger again, because we had to transfer, right, from the schools to an online school. So we're not as big as we were before when we were in Comfa, but we're little by little. We've got students from Indonesia and India and the Philippines, and of course, many from Vietnam. And now we have students in Da Nang, and we have students in Dalat and just another place outside of Saigon. And we have some from Hanoi and some from Haizung. Vinh City, we have students from there too, and a few other places. I just don't remember the name of the provinces. Mostly Vietnamese students in our classes, but it's getting bigger and bigger. It's growing. You know, we're getting more people are finding us and trying us, and most parents and kids like our classes. So it's very good. But in a couple of years, when I can make this business bigger, then that's when I'm going to leave the city. And I'm going to go live in the countryside, and I can do all my work, my studio and my classes, and build a new studio. And then I will live in the countryside. I'm definitely going to leave the city. I want a healthier lifestyle, for sure. I want to live in a rural area. Do you want to live in a rural area, Lily?
No.
Milo?
I don't know.
I don't know. It really depends on your interests, right? It's all about interests. You know, you can't force someone to like something, right? It's like in school too. You're going to do well with the things you're interested in, and you're not going to do so well in the stuff you're not interested in. And that's something that has to manifest, right? It has to grow within you. A good parent is trying to expose you to different things in a positive way so that you take a liking to it, so that interest can manifest, right? Manifest means to grow within yourself or into something. Manifest into something bad, like a disease could manifest into something very bad if you don't take care of it at its early stages. Manifestation. So that's why, like I say, a good parent is always trying to expose you to many things so that you're not like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to try that. And we often do that because we've never tried it, and we didn't try it when we were young. So we have a different opinion. But it is common it is common for young people to find living in the countryside very boring, right? Because there's not as much to do. And by nature, naturally, you want to explore, you want to see new things, and you want to go to new places. And when you go to a city, and the bigger the city is, the more there is to do, the more people there are to meet. So it's a lot more exciting for a young person. So it's very common in every country where the kids growing up in the countryside want to move to the city. And often when they go off to university, they end up staying in the city for a long time before they come home. It's a different lifestyle. But that's also because you're learning about yourself and you're learning your interests and you're following different dreams. And there's more opportunities in cities than there is in the countryside, right? The countryside is appealing to you when you already know who you are, you already know what you do, and the traffic and the malls and the noise is not fun anymore. So when you get older, you tend to want to go to healthier, more quiet places because you like the peace and quiet. And it doesn't stop what you're doing and what your focus is, but the difference is at my age now, I know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and I know what makes me happy. I've learned enough about myself, where you two, you're just starting. You don't even know who you are yet. You're in the middle of creating yourself and creating your life. So it makes sense to want to be in the cities when you're young, for sure. So if you're really lucky and you have a perfect family, you have a family that lives in the countryside, and then you can go and live in the city for a few decades and do things, and then you can always come back home to the countryside because you probably will want to go back to the countryside when you get older. But not for everybody. Okay. That was rural. All right, so this one, we've talked about cities. People that live in the city, of course, we call them urban. People who live in the countryside or out in the forests in different areas, rural. And now we're talking about the oceans and the seas and the lakes. It's also a term for a military group. But let's say we want to be a biologist of everything that lives in the ocean. What would I be called? What kind of biologist? Not an ocean biologist, not a fish biologist. What word is all the plants, plankton, reefs, fish, everything related to the world of water? What do we call that? What is that ecosystem? It starts with an M. Call it all the life in the sea. I want to be a biologist, which I almost did study. I almost took this. I thought about this a lot when I was a young man in university. I wanted to do a lot of things. And I certainly made a lot of mistakes. That's for sure. But that's how we learn. By making mistakes and learning from them and growing from them. It makes us who we are today. And if you're smart and you actually learn from your mistakes, then you become a better person. It's those who don't learn from their mistakes that usually tend to be a nuisance on society and don't amount to much good in the future. No, you don't know this one? The special forces of the American military, what do we call those guys? A U.S. what?
Soldier.
What is it?
Soldier.
Well, sure, they're soldiers, but you wouldn't call these goldfish soldiers. Maybe there's a soldier fish. I don't know.
What?
Marine. All marine life. I want to be a marine biologist. Everything related to the seas and oceans and water is marine. Marine transportation. Marina, where you keep your private boats. Yeah. Marine. Submarine. The military boats that go underwater. Submarine. Underwater. Yeah. Marine means water. And everything to do with water. Marine. Okay. Well, speaking of water, What do you call it when you take dirty water and you clean it and you make it so that people can use it? We have to do that with our city water. Maybe it's a spiritual cleansing. I think they have it in some rituals at weddings and different things. Maybe you want to get rid of the evil inside you. I think in Comfa, you guys have these. You have these machines that you can run your city water into it, and then it goes through these filters, and then you can pour a glass of water from your tap, and you can drink it. Because what have you done to the water? You know, to clean it, to cleanse it. What is that called? The act of removing harmful substance from something, right? To get the bacteria and stuff, the stuff we don't want, out of the water so we can use that water for drinking or whatever it is. It's really used a lot in water, but I'm sure it's done. It's spiritually, it's also a word that is used. We got a lot of good words today. A lot of good words. I spent quite a bit of time finding some of these words. No? Pure, right? Pure gold. Something that is untainted, something that has no harmful substances in it. To do that, the process is called purification. That's why we call that machine that cleans the water a water purifier. And it has all the stones and rocks and filters inside it to clean all the bad stuff out. I know what it is. Microorganisms. Bacteria. I don't know what it is we actually clean. Oh my God, what's with my camera? Looks like I'm trying to rip my ear off. What? All right, let's try that. Let's try that, little Frenchy Lily. Lily from Paris. Purification.
Purification.
Yeah, you said purification. All right, look at these phonics, right? A lot of these vowels are going to sound like almost like an A. Purification. Yeah. And they're tricky because I get them wrong all the time too. The E's, the O's, the I's, the U's. What am I missing? A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U 5, yeah. But they all have different sounds and depending on, well, sometimes they have rules, whether a consonant follows and whatever. So many rules, I don't remember them all. I always have to double check. But I get them wrong too. I often purification, but it's purification. Milo.
Purification.
You said recation too. Purification. Purification.
Purification.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, to make it pure, to clean it, to make it drinkable. You hear it a lot about water. All right, so here's 3 words from the book. Oh, so nobody got that point. So still 3-0 for Milo. Wow. So now we're talking about all the animals on the planet. All the animals in the animal kingdom, right? That could be fish, it could be insects, it could be bugs, or it could be animals, bears, crocodiles, rabbits, and people. Okay. So in the definition, an animal that is naturally able to eat both plants and meat. What do we call those people? Or those animals? They eat both. What is it?
Omnivores.
Yeah, omnivores. That is correct. We are omnivores, right? We eat meat and vegetables and fruit. Bears, of course, they eat fish and they eat deer and they eat people. But they also love to eat berries and roots and other plants and stuff from the trees and the bushes. So they eat everything. Of course, I have a dinner here. So fruit and vegetables and turkeys, chickens. And that looks like a howler monkey. I'm not exactly sure. I think what it was is that the first pit that way, right there, we got chimpanzees. They're the ones that have the closest link to humans. even though they're different species, but they have the closest link. But I realized after that it's a video that shows many different types of. I said, that's a gorilla. No, that's a chimp. Okay. There's different ones there. So I don't know if they're all omnivores, but I know chimpanzees are omnivores. They'll eat other small animals. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I double checked that or not. But I don't think all monkeys are omnivores. I think some just eat bananas and fruits and vegetables, maybe insects and stuff. Even though an insect is considered, well, okay, what it means is meat, right? So insects don't have any meat. They're a different type of food source. But anyhow, yeah. A rabbit is not an omnivore. It doesn't eat other rabbits. So, what about these guys?
Carnivores.
Carnivores, that's right. Because these guys don't eat bananas. They don't eat tomatoes, and they don't eat berries, and they don't eat fruit, and none of that stuff. These guys eat only meat. They hunt other animals, and they eat meat or fish. I know crocodiles for sure eat a lot of fish. Wolves, I'm sure, if they could get their hands on some fish, it'd be hard for the wolves to get fish. But they love their rabbits, and they hunt deer and stuff like that because they hunt in packs, right? You know, there are a lot of numbers in them, and wolves are big dogs. Very big. So if you got 12 wolves chasing down a deer, well, the deer doesn't have much chance. It's not a fair fight. And we all know about the lions and the tigers, you know, and you can see here, it's got the white and black. So he's got himself a zebra. He's got a big dinner there that he's having. Zebras are not a small animal either. But yeah, they're not going to sit down after and have an apple or peel an orange. They only eat meat. And they are carnivores. And there are lots of tribes and people that were carnivores in the past too. It is not and today it's very uncommon. All right. So we've talked about the ones who eat meat. We talked the ones who eat both. What about the ones who only eat plants?
Herbivore.
Herbivores. That's correct. These guys don't eat people. And they don't eat bears, and they don't eat rabbits, and they don't eat dogs, and they don't eat anything but plants and shrubs and grass and leaves and flowers. And we have a 3-3 tie. Are you with us, Milo?
When I went to the zoo, I saw a giraffe eating chips.
Oh yeah. See, it's not good that people feed them that stuff.
Yeah.
Geez, why can't I get all the videos to play here? Play. And our rabbit here going to play or what? There we go. We got it going. Yeah. People love to feed animals, of course, because they get to get really nice and close with them, and they can get pictures because animals are really cool. You know, you go to the zoo and you get to see these animals that you would never see if you didn't see them in the zoo. So that's why they're successful, of course. But usually they tell you not to feed it stuff, especially junk food like chips and stuff. But was it Benicia, one of our students from Indonesia? They have a safari zoo in the south of Jakarta. I went there, and you can drive through the zoo, this park, in your car. And all the animals are like wild. Like they're well, not wild because they're in a zoo, but they're not in a cage. They're open and they're walking around and crossing the street and sitting in the fields. They might have some areas zoned off, right? I mean, because when we drove through there was a white Bengal tiger laying up in the field that we could see, and he could come to the car if he wanted to. We had hippos walking right on the side of the street. It was like, oh my God, hippopotamuses. There were giraffes walking around. It's safari something. I can't remember the name of the zoo. And at one point, I got really worried because we were driving slowly through the park, and then right behind us was this huge African elephant with the huge tusks. And I looked at it, and it was so big that I actually had to get down in the chair and look up out the window to see his head. He was so close, and he was right behind the car. And I was like, oh my God, is he going to walk on the car? And I was like, maybe we should go faster. We should go faster. And he just followed us for a little ways. But I couldn't believe how big he was. Oh my God, he was huge. You couldn't put him in the house. It was just massive, so big. And they're so powerful. If they want to hurt something, they can really destroy. They can knock trees down with their head. I mean, they're so strong. But Benicia, I think that's the zoo she went to. She's a 10-year-old that's in interest 11. Do you know Benicia?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys remember Benicia. You guys were in her class before you moved up. That's right, Benicia. She said she went to with a safari, but they had a thing going on where you could feed the lions. So, of course, it was something like there was a gate and everything, and then you put the food through the gate in a plate or something, and you could feed the lions, so the lions would come right up and you'd see them right in front of you. Safe, of course, but if it's done like that and you're feeding them meat, they like their meat, carnivores, something like that, I'm sure is pretty cool. But for us just to give them food, potato chips and stuff, I think that's a bad idea. If my kids did that, I'd probably kick them in the beep. Are you with us, Milo?
Yeah, I know.
Are you sure? You're very quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not a fan of zoos. I'll be honest. I don't like. I like sanctuaries. When you're helping animals and like, because sometimes the mommy or dad or whatever it is, depending on the animal, poaching and the cubs or babies, or they don't have a chance on their own. They need someone to help them to protect animals. But with the idea, like that story about the otter that we read in reading class, right? This otter is telling the story, and it's like, I've been living in this sanctuary for longer than I can remember. So that means he was very young when the otter went to the sanctuary. And that's what a sanctuary is like, right? It's to help and make sure the animal grows up healthy, but to still make it live and eat like it's in the wild, right? Not dependent on humans feeding them all the time. So that way, when it's healed or it's older or whatever the case may be, they can release it back to the wild. And that I like. I think that I support, of course. But the actual zoos where they just keep the animals until they die, no, I just think it's cruel to the animals. I'm sure that lion doesn't want to live in a cage for the rest of his life, or the zebras and all the other animals. So I kind of feel sad when I go to a zoo. I do go sometimes, but I do have a sad feeling. I feel sorry for the animals. Or when I see birds in cages all the time. I mean, a bird doesn't have hands. A bird has wings for a reason. They're supposed to be free and flying in the skies. That's what they do. That's what they were born to do. They were not born to live in a tiny little cage so someone can hang it in their window and say, well, look at the pretty bird. Isn't it cute? I always feel sad when I see those things. But that's just me. I'm a very big animal lover. I love the wildlife. Okay. Herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, pizza lovers. That's what I am. They should have a whole class just for pizza lovers. Yep. And put me as the poster boy. All right. This is the part of the planet. The Antarctic is like this, of course. But this is the part of the world where the Earth is always frozen. That's quite the ecosystem too. Trees can't grow there because the ground is frozen.
Antarctica? No.
Antarctica's on the south, and the Arctic, which is this ocean up here, but it's frozen, of course. It's not like this. It's frozen. Ice all year round. Iceland, Canada, Russia. But it's this part, this eastern part of Russia where the Siberian tigers live, the territories here in Canada. These areas.
North Pole?
Well, the North Pole is up here in the middle of the ocean, the center of the North, right up here somewhere. But it's not about the Arctic. It's not about the snow. It's about the places like these pictures where even in the summer, the ground is still frozen. Trees can't grow there. The ground is called permafrost. It means it's frozen year round. Like in the summertime, it might look like this, where some of the snow melts and the topsoil might get a little watery, right? And dethaws a little bit. But if you go 1 meter down, it's frozen again. So small bushes and plants and berries can grow for a short time, and the animals will feed on that. But the earth is frozen, like, the trees can't grow. So this kind of area is very famous, the of Russia, which is from the Umur. What do you call those mountains? There's some mountains here that divide Asia and Europe somewhere, right around here, I think. And then this side, they call this side of Russia. There's a word for it. It starts with a T. Part of very large area of land, Northern Asia, North America, and Southern Europe. And Northern Europe. Oh, okay. So part of Northern Europe is also considered that too. All right. Yeah, because they're up on the Arctic here. This is Northern Europe up here. So then they would have areas where the ground is always frozen up here too. Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's called the tundra. And that's what it means. The tundra is the very, very cold Arctic regions where even though, like I say, you look at this picture, right? This is summertime, but there's still snow on the ground. It never gets that hot that all the snow melts, right? This is summer right there. The winter is like this. It's just always snow and windy and very, very cold. But these areas here, you can see that even in the middle of the summer, there's still snow, there's still ice. The ground is still frozen. Like I say, you might get a few centimeters where it unfreezes, dethaws, where shrubs and berries can grow. But other than that, if you dig down a little bit, it's frozen year long, and it's been frozen for 1 million years. That's called permafrost. Yeah, so that's the areas. And we don't talk about it much about Antarctica. And the reason I think we don't talk about it in Antarctica is I believe that the landmass, the continent of Antarctica, is the coldest place on Earth, even more than the Arctic at the top. But at the bottom, that land, not only is it permafrost and it would be a tundra, and frozen year round, but not only that, it's so cold down there that there's like a kilometer of ice on top of all the land. And you wouldn't have a tundra area like this picture in Antarctica because that whole continent is surrounded by the Southern Ocean. So it warms up as you cross that ocean, and then you go into South America and South Africa and Australia. Then it gets warmer. But it's like one extreme to the other. So they don't have anywhere where it's like a tundra zone. But where the north is different, right? The north is ocean and then land around the ocean, the Arctic Ocean. But the south is different. It's Antarctica, the continent, and then the ocean is around Antarctica. So it's a very different ecosystem. Very different. So I don't know if I think the whole continent would be considered a tundra, an extreme tundra in Antarctica, but it's very different. See, you can see, that's why I took this picture, because you see where all the winter is, everything goes white, right? Where my home is down here, we get lots of white as well, all the way down into the States. It gets very cold. Greenland is almost always frozen, like Antarctica, but some edges here, you do see some green. This is where the people mostly live, down along the coast here. And in Canada too, the whole country freezes over in ice. But in the summer, all the way up here, it starts getting green, right? It looks like this. So this is a really good picture of showing you the tundra areas. Okay, enough of the tundra. So this is a new word. It's not about the ecosystem. We finished the ecosystem now. Oh, no, we still have some. Why did that get mixed up like that? We still have some ecosystems, but this one's not about ecosystem. This one is about beautiful things, pretty things, how we make it really cool. So like these are like visual effects. Like you can see the water along these cubes and everything. Of course, that's not really water shaped like that. It's not possible. Makeup. You'll hear actors when they're going to, like maybe they're in a role where they're going to be a vampire or they're going to be a monster, but they have to get all the makeup done. We don't say, I got to go do my makeup. Some do, but there's another word for that. And the design of this building to make it look very modern and everything. And you would see it in plastic surgery to fix things. Again, relating to the enjoyment or study of beauty. To change it is to try to make it more beautiful. And I don't think you've had this word before. It can be a noun or it can be an adjective. And it's called aesthetics. Aesthetics. There's lots of sample sentences. Well, here, I'm going to type it in here real quick. Aesthetics. And it's with the A is there, but it just sounds like ES. Aesthetic. Aesthetic. Try that. Lily? Aesthetic. Yeah, there we go. Aesthetics. Let's get some sample sentences. Just give you some ideas. The formal study, the noun here, the formal study of the principles of art and beauty. So they would also use it very much in art, something that is. I thought I had some examples of art here. Here we go. Aesthetic, the adjective. The new building has little aesthetic value or appeal. So it's not very pretty. So it has a little aesthetic. Aesthetic treatment, like plastic surgery and different things, maybe. Like even when some women in Vietnam, you see them, they color in their eyebrows and they paint them like a tattoo. Well, that's getting aesthetics done to you because the idea is to make you prettier, more attractive. I would never tattoo eyebrows onto me because I think it'll look really silly when I get old. And besides, my eyebrows are so light color. It would look really funny if I had big black eyebrows. I would look like an alien. He specialized in aesthetic dentistry. All right, so this must be making crowns and all these beautiful sets of Hollywood smiles and stuff. Aesthetic treatments include everything from skincare products to Botox injections to make your lips bigger. Ah, crazy. Yeah, so it's all about the art of beauty. The aesthetics you put into something is the amount of work and effort you put into something to to create more beauty within it. Got it? Good. I'm glad you got it. Not a word I use a lot, but it is a word. So, this one's kind of similar in a way, but this is to make something better, right? To improve the quality, amount, strength of something. I mean, look at the old trains, steam engine, coal burning, iron train. What do they call that? Cargo. Oh, there's a word for those kinds of trains. I've just read it in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Forget the name. And compared to the trains of today, we have the bullet trains that travel like 300 kilometers an hour or something crazy like that. Or look at the in his physical physique. You know, look at the improvements. What's another word? What's the word for the process of improvement? Right?
Intense.
What is it?
Intense.
Continues?
Intense.
I type it down. I'm not sure what word you're saying. This guy is not very muscular. He's not in very good shape, but working at it over and over. And oh, look at him here a couple of years later. He's got a haircut now and he's got bigger muscles and he's running on that. What is that they're running on? What do you call that? Yeah, that's right. Enhance. You got it, Lily. 4-3 lead. Enhance or enhancement? To enhance something, or it is an enhancement. Yeah.
No. I said that intense, not enhance.
Well, you typed it right here. It says Lily to everyone. Enhance. That's what you typed in. You typed enhance in the chat box.
Really?
Well, that's what it says right here. Lily to everyone at 6:03. It's 6:03. Enhance. Do you have a ghost in there with you?
No.
So you didn't. So what did you say? You didn't say enhance, but you even typed enhance. So what word was it that you think you said? That you think you wrote?
There's a C between N and H.
Yeah. Enchant. Oh, that's not even a word, is it? I don't remember ever hearing enchant. What is enchant? Enhance. Maybe you think enchant is enhance. Just like I thought ectocutter was a helicopter when I was a kid. Enchant is not a word. Oh, enchanced. Look at this. What is enchant? Oh, enchanted. No, enchants is not a word.
I remember wrong.
I'm going to write some words down here for you to show you. Okay, so enhance is to improve, to enhance something. And that might be the word, because I think that's what you're trying to mean, right? To improve. You thought it was enchants, but it's enhance. No ch, just ha, hands. But I'm going to write down some more words here that are very similar so that you know the difference. Okay, so the closest word to that would be enchant, right? It's like enchanted. So another one would be, well, I'm going to write that too. Enchanted. What's another one? Enchanter, enchant, enchants, entrance, enchanters. Now, those are the only two words that are close. Enchant is to attract or please someone very much. Oh, he was very enchanting. Or she was very enchanting. Like the audience was clearly enchanted by her performance. It's to create an attractiveness. It's like a fairy tale, right? The enchanted forest, the enchanted castle. It draws people to it. To have magical effects on someone or something. Enchantment too. The verb, to charm and please someone a lot. To enchant someone. So that's what enchant means. Enhance is not to please or to make someone very happy, but enhance is to make something more improved, to make it better. A little bit different. Got it. Are you frozen, Lily? Oh, there you are. Thumbs up, huh? But I don't see the thumb up. I just kind of see the finger up. You want to play thumbs? Here comes my thumb. Boom, 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 boom. Next. You're losing. You were winning 3-0, Milo. It's 4-3 now. Our next word today is going to be macaroni. All right, so pay attention to the sentences here. It's pretty crazy these days. We live in strange times. Really or certainly often used to emphasize something. So it's kind of like to agree in a way. I was very glad to hear the news. It's not a hard word, but it's a very hard word to find videos or pictures to explain it. So it's kind of like when you want to agree with me that, we're living in strange times right now. Not every day you see chickens walking down the street with a cart. Right. But there are a lot of weird things going on right now with COVID and the way the governments are going and the way the social credit systems and oh my God, there's so many strange and weird things happening now around the world. Corporations are running the world, not elected governments anymore. It's crazy. Indeed, I agree. Indeed. It's like concur. Concur, I agree with your assessment. We live in strange times indeed. Yeah, really and certainly often used to emphasize something, right? To make it, yeah, I really agree with that. I was indeed, not just very glad, but I was indeed, for sure, very glad to hear the news. You see chickens walking around the street, waving at you, pushing shopping carts. Absolutely, indeed, it is getting pretty weird out there. It's an easy word to say, but it's a really good word to use because you're going to use it a lot. Now, you could use the words like aesthetic. The aesthetics in the painting are amazing in the sculpture. It looks so, look at that. I mean, you can even see in the way he's carving out the eyes and the face and the details. He's not even finished, but you can already tell this is a very sad old man, right? Look at the eyes. It's really amazing. So it's another word for all the little details, but it could also be all the extra information. Very slight difference in appearance, meaning, or sound. It could be about the type of music. It could be about the speech. It could be about a book. I'm going to give you some examples on this one too, because this is a really powerful word to use when you're writing for school or a paper or you're talking and you use some of these words. It really makes you sound very intelligent. And it really means you're beginning to articulate in a very detailed way, which is a superpower for people who can write and read properly and use the words. You know how many times you want to say something, but you just don't know how to say it. You just can't find the words. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to say it the way I mean it, right? That ever happened to you? Happens to me all the time. Yeah? You're trying to say something, but you can't find the right words, or you don't know how to put it together properly to make the exact point of what you see in your head. Can you remember a time that ever happening to you? No? Really? You guys are all articulate, educating, linguistic experts. Milo, did you ever have a hard time trying to find the words to explain what you meant when you were telling someone a story or something?
That was pretty hard.
Yeah. I do too. I do too. You ever notice that sometimes you want to say something to someone, but instead you just text a letter to them because you want to be able to try to say everything correctly so they hear you and they don't interrupt you? Because if they interrupt you and if you argue, then you're probably going to lose the point. You're not going to be able to make the point or make them understand what you're trying to say. I just did that with a family member back home. I have a big disagreement with someone in my family. And I thought I just wrote them a letter and sent it through email to explain why I'm not happy with that decision. Because I knew that if I tried to say it face to face on Zoom, that it would turn into an argument. And then the point I was trying to make would be disrupted, and it would have turned into an argument, and then maybe say things that you don't want to say. So I chose in this situation to sit down and process my thoughts and put down reason 1, 2, 3, why I believe this, what I disagree with, and then gave it to them. That way they don't have a choice. They can't interrupt me. They're going to have to read it and then think about it before they open their mouth and talk to me again, right? So that's why writing is so powerful sometimes. But writing helps you be more detailed. And we call all those little details and all those little meanings that sometimes you don't quite get, they're called nuance. The nuances in his reading, the painter has managed to capture every nuance of the woman's expression. You know, you look at this painting over here, it's pretty remarkable, but what would be the little nuances about it? The way her body position is, the way she's standing confidently and looking off to the side, like, maybe it's the nuances here that we need to see, the little details, or that she's a very strong woman, maybe that she's confident, it's hard to see, but like the nuances in the sculpting to me are very defined, right? You can clearly tell that it's an unhappy older man, and you can tell by the little nuances, by the sternness of his lips not smiling, and the eyes slightly slanted down, and the eyebrow kind of slightly V'd in the middle, where it comes together. Like, those are the little nuances, a nuance. Okay. Linguistics explore the nuances of language, right? They're, especially intonations and stresses and all these things, the little nuances can change the meaning, right? I can say, I love you with all my heart. Or I could say, yeah, I love you with all my heart. There's 2 different meanings there. One is honest and one is like, okay, I love you. Now get out of my face. Right? Like, there's a few little differences in that. Nuances is all those little subtle details. That's what they call it, a nuance. Another example, actors have to study the nuance of facial expressions to show the whole range of emotions. Yeah, now that's something actors have to study a lot, right? Because not only do they just read the lines, right? You have some actors that are good actors and some actors that are bad actors, right? If you just read the script and it's not going to be entertaining. You're not going to catch the attention of the audience. But if you really go into all the nuances, all the little nuance that character needs, and the expressions and the tone in your voice and the posture in your body and the level of speech, well, all those little nuances, again, are going to make it attractive. The details. Okay. Nuance. Malo.
Nuance.
Nuance with an S. Ons. Ons. Yeah. Lily? Nuance.
Nuance.
New car. Nuance.
Nuance.
There you go. Another very powerful word to add to your vocabulary. Now here, if you want to talk about, you really want to show you know what you're talking about when it comes to food and health and different things. What is it in the food that we desperately need? What is it in the water that makes spring water so valuable, so much more than these purified city tap water that they just put through filters that you drink, that doesn't have all the in it that we really, really need?
Value.
Well, it's kind of like value. It's what the value is, yeah. But in organic vegetables and fruits and meats and any substance that plants or animals need in order to live and grow. Yeah, it's good soil full of, what makes the earth so good to grow food? A healthy diet should provide all the essential that we need to be healthy. And one of them apparently is like one of the best filters for good water to pick up all of these things is through salt. I've heard salt water is good for you. And it makes sense because the ocean salt water too, if you cut yourself bleeding and you got scars, it's very healing to your skin and your body if you're in fresh water. I'm not fresh water. Ocean salt water has healing elements to your skin and your body. It's very good for you. It's nutrients. The nutrients in food is what we desperately need to be healthy. But a lot of the foods, we don't get the proper nutrients. Like one example is that we're not getting all the real nutrients we need from city water and bottled water. The healthiest water is the spring water that comes out of the ground, right? But I guess water nutrient facts is some of it could be different types of sodium is important for us. What are the main nutrients in water? Here we go. Calcium, they get that from salt too. Potassium is really important. That's another nutrient. Sodium, potassium, magnesium. But as far as I know, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium, those four for sure. I've heard a lot of doctors say that those are nutrients that you find in food and water that change your body like crazy for the good. And that most people, a lot of us are unhealthy because we don't get enough of these nutrients. Our food has been modified so many ways that a lot of the food has lost much of its nutrients. You can't change the way the world works like that. Like I say, you got to work on yourself first. But what that also means is that it's not the government's responsibility. It's not even your parents' responsibility. When you're young, it is. But as you get older and you guys are teenagers and becoming teenagers now, you're old enough to know that it's up to you to make sure you're eating proper food. Now, I've said this so many times. There's nothing wrong with going out and having fried chicken and some French fries and a Coca-Cola every Saturday night. There's no problem with that. Once a week is fine. But during the weekdays, you gotta buy fresh food. You gotta cook your food yourself. You can't buy frozen food and canned food. You need to go to the markets. You need to grow some food. You need to learn to when you get older. And you gotta eat healthy, because if you don't eat healthy now, you will definitely have health problems in the future. And having to live on pharmaceutical drugs for the rest of your life, like my father does, is not good as you get older, because that has side effects and that causes more problems. And it's all avoidable with a healthy diet. So, nutrients. Those are some of the most important things we need to get out of the food. And most people are not getting enough of it. Now, this is an ecosystem. What do we call this ecosystem? And this is, they have the biggest one is in Africa, of course. And this is where they take those safaris. This is where you're going to find the wildebeest and the gazelles, is it? And the crocodiles and the lions and the leopards and the hyenas and the badgers and the zebras and the giraffes. Because the giraffes are the only ones tall enough to eat the leaves on those acacia trees. What do we call this? It's not a jungle. It's not ocean. It's not the mountains. What is it?
Field.
Wow, I could just have a field over here next to the park. Yeah, Mado?
Savan.
What?
I don't know how to spell it.
Try saying it again.
Savannah.
Savannah. Yeah, that's where we go on the safari in the savannas of Africa. Now, it can be a hilly area, right? There can be some hills in here and stuff like that. But large, flat area of land covered with grass, usually with very few trees. Not many trees at all, but open fields like this. And that's like you'll find the lions will live under a tree here somewhere and sleep in the shade. These animals will move and graze, meaning they'll eat the grass all over the place. The giraffes will come in here and eat the leaves on the trees, and the leopards and them will live up in the trees to stay away from the lions. Hyenas will live in big packs. I don't know where they live in, especially in Africa, but found in many hot countries. But the biggest one and the famous one, of course, is the African savanna. And that's a landscape. This is a savanna landscape. All right. So we got a 4-4 tie. So our next one, it's going to be very similar, I think. Yeah, it is. But the difference with these big open prairie field-like savanna-like areas is that this one has no trees. It's a very logical, simple answer, actually. But there's no trees here. Just grass. I don't know why that is. If you could grow grass like that, I have no idea what the geological components, ingredients are for this to happen where there would not be any trees. I'm not sure. It's not desertification because it's all grass. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm not a geologist, but it's pretty amazing. The only time I've seen areas like this in my life was because it was man-made for farming. You know, the people cut the trees down and use it for farmland like this. But, you know, when you look at this small picture, which is why I picked it, I don't know if it's a real picture, but it looks like in the background you have some cars or little houses down here. Maybe this looks like the kind of terrain you would get in Mongolia. But I don't think Mongolia is part of a tundra, even though it's very close. Its borders Eastern Russia. I don't know enough about
Pasture.
What is it?
Pasture.
Pasture. Yeah, well, that's what it would be on a farm, right? Where the cows feed. And this would be great for your animals. But they call it a grassland. But I find grassland a natural grassland. I'm going to try that. Natural grasslands. So it is a biome, right? It is the grassland biome is made up of large open areas of grass that are maintained by grazing animals and maintained by frequent fires. Types of grasslands include savannas and temperate grasslands. Yeah, but I typed in natural, but this is saying maintained. So to me, it's related to farming. What is a grassland ecosystem? Let's just check again here real quick. Where rainfall is not enough to support the growth of trees. Okay, so there's some of these, like I said, when you look at these two pictures, this one, look at all the lines in here. That definitely, to me, looks man-made. But when you look at the smaller picture up here in the hills and all the grass and everything here, a temperate zone would be like it's somewhere between the Arctic colder area and then lower into before you get to the tropics, of course. And it says grasslands occur in both a tropical, so in tropical and temperate. I believe my whole southern Canada and USA is mostly in a temperate region, I believe. It's like from the equator, all the different zones, where rainfall is not enough to support the growth of trees. So there's got to be a layer somewhere along the globe here where not enough rain for trees to grow. But it's not like a desert. because then you can't even grow grass. But here you can. I've never experienced it. I've never seen lands like this anywhere that I've been. So it's hard for me to imagine what the actual, and without having trees. But it's saying doesn't have trees because there's not enough rainfall. Okay. No trees. Let's see. Natural grasslands, semi-natural grasslands, and agricultural grasslands. So they have all three. Okay. Some are man-made and some are natural. Desert-like grasslands, flooded grass. See, that's what I was thinking. Flooded grasslands. Okay, so there are some grassland areas in Europe. There are some grassland areas down in South America, northern Australia, western China, through Mongolia. So you would have a lot of lands like this where the nomads live in Mongolia. Almost all of Mongolia is circled not a lot of Mongolia is circled in a grassland areas. Southern South America, south of South America, down in Argentina and Chile, there are some grasslands there too. All the farming areas, in Canada and USA, right in the middle, the prairies, there you're going to find a lot of grasslands. So there's a few areas. All right, enough. Now you know, grasslands, no trees. Savannas have trees. Got it? And grasslands, I don't think have any lions, so it's a lot safer to go there and play football. But savannas have a lot of lions. Don't go there. Not a good idea. But I say that, but up here in Mongolia and northern China and eastern Russia, they have the biggest tiger in the world called saber-toothed tigers. So it's kind of dangerous too. Not saber-toothed tigers, Siberian tigers. What am I talking about? All right, the word of the day. What do you call these little weasel rascal things? What are they?
Shell.
Shell? We got a 4-4 tie. We're running out of words.
Shell.
Shell? I don't know what a shell is. Type it. Your microphone is just crazy. This is like even smaller. This is what makes all this stuff up. I think, I am not a biologist. But let's see another little definition for it. A very small living thing, especially one that causes diseases. So disease start from these things that can only be seen with a microscope. So is it all just bad? Well, they don't look pretty, that's for sure. They look like aliens. They don't look cool at all. You can only see them you can't see them with your eyes. You need the microscopes there and magnify it like 1,000 times before you can see it. No, you didn't figure this one out yet, you little chemists. Okay, so these things help digest food, absorb nutrients, the important things, and outcompete harmful bacteria in the intestines. So these guys are the ones that actually, they can lead to bad things if we eat the wrong chemicals and all the bad things, and then they don't work properly, then it becomes a problem. But if they're working healthy and we're eating good, these things fight the bad bacteria in our stomachs. These are the things that take the vitamins and proteins out of food and then manage them and move them into our blood and move them into our organs to make our bodies healthy. They prevent the growth of harmful skin bacteria and further aid the immune systems to fight off viruses. If this is strong, you can fight off COVID and fighting infections so that everything heals, fighting disease through the hammer. Yeah, these are your little soldiers. These guys are very important. You do not live without them. And they're called, and you should know it because they're so important. They're called. Nobody can say that for me.
Microbes.
Microbes. Yeah. we'd like to give you this award to show you our appreciation and our appreciation and what? What? How did that happen? Is that an error or what? Okay, so here we go. Go to the picture. Play. No, it's me. I hate it when I'm wrong and I make the mistake. It should be the computer's fault, not my fault. Did you see the word? Facial what? Yeah, recognition. Or to recognize, right? Recognition to give credit. Hello, Paris. How are you? Are you rich? Don't forget class tomorrow, Paris. All right.
She can't join the class tomorrow.
Really? Why? She going to a party?
He goes on a travel.
She'll be traveling.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. Yeah.
The last day of holiday.
Before school starts, yeah. All right. Yeah. To recognize someone, to give recognition for someone for doing something really good. Agreement that something is true or legal. Facial recognition, right? The new technology they have now to identify people. Yeah, recognition. All right, 4-4 tie, 2 words left. Something especially rare or expensive. That is good to eat. Now, it could be used in other ways, as Late pointed out. Oh, that's the best. The lobster tail. Oh, the meat is so delicious. Do you know what caviar is?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like a jar like that, depending what fish eggs they are. Could be worth like $1,000 or more. It's only the very rich can afford to eat caviar. I've never had caviar. Bluefin tuna. This fish is very expensive. I think one fish you catch is big like a human being. It could be worth like $20,000 or something like that. Sells for a lot. It's it's very healthy for you. Apparently, you can eat it raw just like that. I watched some Japanese fishermen catching their bluefish tuna and cutting it off and just eating big steaks, pieces of just the raw meat like that. And that makes sense because Japanese like to eat a lot of sushi, and tuna is a big element to fresh, raw sushi. And this one is one of my all-time favorites. When I was a kid, I grew up on this. We had it often a lot because it was cheap then. We used to buy it right from the fishermen at the wharf, right on the ocean. But now it's like, $10 then when I was a little kid. When I was, younger than Paris. My dad would give me $10 and I'd go down to the wharf and the fishing boats would come up with their lobster traps. And I'd give $10 and they'd give me like 10 lobsters in a garbage bag and alive, and I'd take them home and we'd cook them. But now it's like $10 for one claw. Like it's just so expensive now. It's very, very expensive. So again, something especially rare or expensive that is good to eat. What do we call those things? You call it two? Who's that? Is that your mom?
Yeah, my mom.
Hi, Mom. Bye, Mom. Yeah, things that are hard or rare like that, expensive, blowfish. Seems like a lot of seafood is this kind of food. I guess Kobe beef in Japan. Delicacy. Is that what you said, Lily?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Lily gets the point. 5 points for Lily. These are called delicacies. Now, again, as Leigh said, there's other ways to use it. Not just relating to food and expensive, tasty food. But yeah, delicacy. Very fancy, special, expensive. Can be rare. Hello, Mom. Hello. Do you have any fancy delicacies in your house? Do you want some lobster? Milo, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, lobster is very good. What are you doing, Milo? Your face is disappearing.
Well, I don't know because my camera is too high and I don't know how to fix it.
Oh, my God. All right. This is to express a thought, a feeling, an idea so that it is understood by other people. For example, you're trying to get a message through to someone so that they understand. Oh, my God. I did it again. Unbelievable. That's it. Trevor, you're fired. I'll have a new teacher for you next week. I'm firing Trevor. That's it. Trevor's fired. I'm going to hire Tony from Italy. And he's going to be your new teacher next week. That's it. That bum Trevor, he can't run a computer. He's fired. To convey he managed to convey to get the message understood, the gravity of the situation, to express a thought, a feeling, or idea so that it is understood by other people. You can convey messages through your poetry, right? The message you're trying to get through to people to understand in a speech, to convey your sympathy or condolence for someone's loss. Convey. So as I said, you have gotten a lot of good vocabulary words today to put in your list of vocabulary and try to make sentences with them and practice using them. Because if you can add these to your arsenal of vocabulary, you are going to be far more articulate in the future, and you're going to be able to find the words to express the ideas you want. And that is a superpower. You're pretty powerful when you can't lose an argument. So convey, delicacy, recognition, microbes, Greenland, savannas, nutrients, nuance. That's a real good one. Indeed, to stress something that you understand or you agree. Enhance, aesthetic. And then the other stuff is all mostly about the ecosystems, of course, the tundras and the marine life. So we're gonna take our break. Then we'll come back and we'll read about the food chain and a bit about the ecosystems. We'll talk about, what's the other one here? We're going to talk about pyramids of numbers, but we're going to talk about why there are so many little fish and why there are only so many sharks, right? Because there's a balance in Mother Nature. It's really amazing. Yeah, so we got a couple of little readings to do. So we'll do that when we come back after the break. Break time!
Bye.
Except Lily. Lily gets to tell its chance. See you in a bit. Bye-bye. Oh, there's her word. Delicacy. Oh, that was you again. Delicacy. The pyramids and yeah, I mean, and you look at the sharks, they don't travel in families or groups, right? So they're higher than the dolphins, even though I've seen videos that dolphins actually can beat sharks. They're faster and they're more maneuverable. I've seen videos where sharks have lost to dolphins, got beat up, basically rammed and things like that. But sharks technically would be higher in the food chain, I guess. I think they're kind of close, I guess. I'd debate that one. But basically, there's more dolphins. They travel in pods, I think they're called, groups. So that's a bit different. But then again, you look at the fish as they get smaller, they kind of go down the food chain. So size does matter in the world of food chains. The smallest things get eaten by bigger things and bigger things and bigger things and bigger things. But nothing touches the orcas, the killer whales. They are the kings of the oceans for sure, even though they're not the biggest. So that was really interesting about how it all works, our ecosystems. I watched a documentary, I don't know, maybe last month. It was really interesting. The name of the documentary was how the wolves, how they saved the rivers. And I'm like, what? The wolves saving a river? What in the world are they talking about? So I watched it. And it was really incredible. It was about Yellowstone National Park in the United States. It's a really huge national park, right? It's not a zoo, like it's wild animals live there. People go in there, but at your own risk, be careful. There's grizzly bears there. There's elk and deer and everything. All the animals that are from there, except one, the wolf. And it turned out, it was a year or two ago, I don't remember when or what year it was, but what they did is they reintroduced the wolves into that huge area, that national park, because they were missing. They had been missing for a long time, probably because of humans, I'm sure. But in that ecosystem, you had the top predator were the grizzly bears, right? And then you had the deer and so on going down like a normal chain of ecosystem. But what happened was when they released the wolves in there, the wolves had their own pack, right? And then they started roaming the lands and everything else. And over a couple of years, the landscape, the impact they had on nature was dramatic. You could see it. It changed the habitat. It changed the rules. It changed the laws of how animals behaved. There was, for example, the elk, the deer. They only had the bear to deal with, and usually it's just one bear at a time. And it wasn't. They weren't. Well, not that they weren't afraid, but the bear wasn't eating enough deers. It didn't need to, right? Because bears are also omnivores as well. They eat plants and stuff. But the deers were eating all the bushes and the shrubs and the flatlands and the grasses, and they weren't afraid to go out into the grassland, savanna areas, right, where the flatlands are. And they could always see the bear coming a mile away to run away. And it was changing the landscape because the grass wasn't growing back, and then they were eating the shrubs and different things along the riverbank, and the soil was getting weaker now because it was getting drier and it was falling into the river, and the river was getting wider, and the landscape was changing because of the inhabitants, the animals that lived there. But once the wolves were re-entered into that ecosystem, all of a sudden, there was a new predator hunting deer. So, and now the wolves, the way they attack in packs, it was very different from the bear. So now the elk will not come out in the open field because they become a target for the wolves. So it changed their habitats and how they behaved. And that also kept them away from the rivers, eating all the shrubs and the different things. So all of a sudden they started growing again. And then the riverbank started getting solider again. And the rivers were starting to flow normally again. And the bears now had a competitor. Now when a bear would kill an animal, the wolves would all come in and start taking pieces, and the bear would have to fight off the wolves. And it changed the populations of the foxes and the coyotes and the deer, and it changed the habits of the bear on how he was hunting and how he was protecting his food. And the whole ecosystem changed just because one animal was introduced onto that land, into that area. So it goes to show how everything is connected and how things are different if you mess with Mother Nature. There are some rivers as well and lakes that I've heard stories in the past where I think it's snakeheads fish, they call them. But somebody, and this has happened a few times, where someone has taken a fish from another country or another continent and brought it to their home, and they've released them in their lakes and in their rivers. And then the whole ecosystem changed. Like whoever was the top fish then, and there was lots of them, but then they introduced these snakeheads, and these snakeheads were eating all these fish, and these fish were gone. So none of the vegetation that they ate was being eaten anymore, and it was being infested with seaweed, and the whole ecosystem changed depending on the animals that lived in it. So don't let anybody ever trick you. We need our wild animals, and we need them in our environments. They even have an influence on the land itself and how fertile it is. It's very, very important that we have huge areas of land preserved for the natural world and life and animals, and let them live the way they're meant to live. So yeah, lots of vocab, some interesting reading, and we learned a lot more about the animal kingdom and how things work, and a lot of the landscapes as well, the tundras and so on. So it's good. All right. So any questions? Nobody ever has any questions for Trevor. Why is that? Nobody ever leaves any comments on the videos either. Why is that? Huh. Unbelievable. All right. Well, enjoy your last weekend of holidays. I guess we won't see. You say we won't see Paris tomorrow afternoon, so that's too bad. Because Interest One will be running, as far as I know, unless there's a bunch of other kids that can't come. But we'll see. It's the end of the holidays. Everybody will be back to school, so good luck at school. And we will see you again next Saturday.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Lily. Bye, Milo.